Okay, today we have a 6.0 with a no start. And this one's pretty tricky where it takes a little bit of knowledge about how the engine works to get. So what we have here, we'll verify it's either going to be a no start or a long crank. You can hear it's trying to start, So the first thing we always do with them is we check for codes. So here we run the key on, engine off, and we have a passcode. I can refresh it here and we can run it. What it's looking for is continuous, or what the diagnostic trouble codes that are in memory. And we're checking. It's got a passcode, so it doesn't see any faults. And the reason why it doesn't see any faults, well, let me back up here. What we want to do is we want to go and check to see what we look for. Whenever we have a no start, we want to look for FICM sync, fuel injecting control module synchronization. What that looks for is the RPM signal from the crankshaft sensor and also the camshaft sensor. It checks them out and looks. We want to make sure our fuel injecting control module has supply power, output power to the injector, and here we also have the vehicle power. These are going to the fuel injecting control module. And when we cycle the key, I'm going to turn the key on and off, we can hear the injectors clatter. Usually the clatter that you hear when you first turn the key on, that's from the injectors being done. But now here's the tricky one, and it won't set a code. We have an ICP sensor that stands for injection control pressure. At a key on, engine off, we should just be reading atmospheric pressure. But it thinks it has 300 pounds of pressure right now, 330 pounds of pressure. And also we can look at the voltage. We've got a little bit over half a volt. And the IPR defaults to that. That's normal that it defaults to roughly 15%. So when we crank it, it's trying to build up pressure. It takes 500 to start, and it actually has it. Well, it thinks it has it. That's just it. It doesn't have it. It's dumping it off, so the IPR is not working. It's not commanding closed enough to really build up the pressure. So it's turning the injectors on. That's why we're hearing it try to start, but it's not really achieving the 500 pounds of pressure to run the injectors. And this is all done from a faulty ICP sensor. Because the computer does not see a fault, the PCM off the vehicle does not see a fault, it sees the pressure that it thinks it has. It's all working within specs. It won't set a code. So this can give you a no starts. I've seen them give 299 codes for no boost. I've seen them lack of power, stalling, all kinds of issues, and never sets a code. That's why it's very important to know the percentage that your IPR, your injection pressure regulator, works off of. Your pump's always creating the 3,000 pound, roughly, pounds of pressure, and the IPR shuts it off by the percentage-wise. You never want to see it 15% or 85% with it running. It will default to the 15%. So that's why it's very important to know. And one of the things I always ask people, how hard is the IPR working, and what is ICP voltage key on, engine off? And let's say you don't have a scanner to do this, or you broke down. I have been at a RV park one time, had a guy broke down, and what I did, I didn't have any tools to check it, but this is one thing that may save you, especially if you're looking at this on your phone and you are stalled. Try to unplug your ICP sensor, and it'll run with it. So I'm going to go over here, your ICP sensor on the 04 and up. It's right here. We unplug it. And it's no longer getting the bad signal. So now we look at it. We actually have zero pressure, zero voltage. But the good thing is let's just say you broke down, or you want to try to verify, is it my ICP sensor, and you don't have a $2,000 FICM and Ford scan tool. Now we can go and get it, and the vehicle starts. So if you were broke down, well, there's two things. One way to get you back home, and there's also another way to verify it. Because if there's anything else, if you really had a problem with fuel pressure or FICM or a high pressure leak, it's not going to start by unplugging it. The only bad thing by unplugging it to test it is you set a code. So just be aware of that. Now that I've unplugged it and it's running without it, We've set the 2285 code for the injection control pressure circuit low, and now it has that code. So if you do try this to see if it can get your truck started or get you home or do whatever, you may want to tell the shop, just to avoid the extra expense, to ignore the 2285 code that you caused that, if you unplugged it and checked it. But anyhow, that's a tricky one, and that's one that'll stump a lot of people. So I just thought I'd explain that one. Thank you.